So this is the webwork presentation. John Travis has been working actively with the Sage community and the webwork community for the last few years. They came to Sage Days a couple years ago, and I've been just absolutely amazed at what John Travis has been able to do in his classes with both Sage and webwork, and as a department chair on top of all that and everything else.
Morning, yeah.
Anyway, John Travis.
All right, this is first half. Jason's going to do the second half. This is me at Mississippi College, Jason Aubrey at Missouri, but soon to be Arizona. Sorry. And Mike Gage at Rochester. And here are the webwork stickers. I haven't seen Sage stickers. Are they here?
They're here.
Okay, I'm passing them around, so if you would like one, you can brand your laptop. Regardless, these slides are available at, that's a little large, at that site, testcourses.webwork.maa.org. And if you go there, it'll automatically put the next half in there, and just look for this Prep 13 problem authoring homework set, and then look for the one called Sage Applets. And that'll be the first half here. Jason's second half is on a different server because that's his is a little more developmental, I guess. But the idea here is to do the Sage cell easily inside webwork. Last year at this event, we were able to finally get it to work properly where data could be passed into the Sage cell from webwork, and data could come back out from the Sage cell to webwork at the end. And it was kludgy. This year we finally have a macro, so it should be relatively easy to do. So I'm going to show you that today. And then Jason's second half is going to be making easy calls to what he's calling, are you still calling it Ask Sage? Mm-hmm. So we want just little a or big A?
Big A.
Whatever. You have Ask Sage already, but that's okay. So regardless, if you can log in as guest, by the way, and you'll be able to see these. The only difference as guest is you won't be able to actually execute them. But maybe I can put them someplace where that will be possible eventually. And there we are again. For some reason, that happened. All right. So again, the previous methodology was all scripting, cell server address, etc. were hardwired in each webwork question. So that meant that Aleph or Sage cell or whatever you were using had to be in the problem. So if that ever were to change, you have to go back to each problem and edit it. So that's part of what my task has been here, is to try to help get a macro so we could bury that one place to rule them all. And another big problem was getting back data. What's wrong?
I just realized you were doing a presentation in webwork.
Yeah, that's right. These are actually webwork problems. So I learned this from David Cervone, who you all know and love, and it's like, God, that's a great idea. So I ripped him blatantly off and used his macros. And by the way, this looks better, according to David, using a different theme, because he really cares. For me, it just works, and so that's okay. The second thing that was a big problem is if you want to get data out of the Sage cell, we had to use some really weird named answer blanks and HTML print statements. And so you know HTML print statements can get very obtuse with percents and all this business. And so that's been all hidden now. That's good. So here is the previous technology. And I just grabbed this one. This is a limit question. People can look at a picture and see if they can see the thing has a limit. And that's kind of a fun one. And you can also, this is just a standard webwork, last year version of webwork in Sage. And it's going to take a second, I guess. I did finally get the latest version of Java to actually do on my machine. It took forever. Can we get the yellow box? Now this was all up and running a while ago. Oh, it didn't matter. You will see a picture here that's three-dimensional, and you see a picture, you'll play with it. Okay. So, okay.
That's the one problem with Java.
That's
the biggest problem.
The biggest
with Java.
problem.
It sucks.
So, has anybody got a joke here?
That's called a showstopper.
That's right. Oh, the beach ball.
The beach ball of death. Now, let's try this just to see if we can do something.
That's what I think it's called. Okay.
No. Looked like it
Well,
was
it's stopping the show.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
It's another reason to use Chrome too.
If I had thought about that, I would.
Chrome won't do Java at all anymore.
No, not.
Maps.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, if I could just get that, get it. All right, let's do that for a second.
Another reason not to use Java.
There's lots of reasons not to use Java at the moment.
Oh, I think I almost saw something there.
See, some highly interactive
Here's Chrome.
calculus books will do this to your browser.
10.6. Oh.
10.7 and 10.8 don't work anymore. Yeah.
Ah, you should stay with old OSs.
And that was beautiful. Okay, so that was the old technology, and actually, I will show you one thing. So we can actually look at this problem if you wanted to, and we are going to see it regardless. And here, how about that? How about that? All right, and so it's.
Learning, good.
I'm getting better. And so as you look at this problem, you see a bunch of boilerplate stuff, and then you see some webwork stuff. Oh, that's really nice. Okay? And then here is some crap up here. It has to be just right. And then here's some your, I guess this one doesn't send anything out. So that wasn't a good to show. And then here's all the junky stuff that's wonderful, but you don't want to see it. And that's great. All right, good.
A lot of stuff to hide.
So it's
A lot of
bunch
stuff to hide.
boilerplate.
Yeah, a lot of boilerplate stuff, and you can see it. So next, the new macroized methodology, if that's a word, and there is wiki documentation on this, and that should be live. And so it's all ready to go here. And you'll notice that, maybe you won't notice until I make it bigger, that now there is a macro here, so you simply call it. And then any answers you want to pull out need to be, of course, stored. In this particular problem, this example, I'm sending in the random variable A created in webwork. And there's a solution that I want webwork to return. Now all of your Sage code is simply part of a variable name here, and anything you want to put Sage-wise goes right there. I'm printing area that's not necessary. The only thing I need to worry about if I want to get data out, and I call this function, and send in a list of whatever I want to send out from the Sage cell. So these are all going to be Sage variables inside here, a list of them. There's a Sage call back in the webwork problem. There are certain things you can choose or choose none. The only one you must choose is this one, which says, grab the Sage code that you're going to send to it and send it in. And then we want to get the stuff from the Sage cell back out, so that line's required. And then we simply do whatever we feel like we want to do in presenting this to people, and we check it with this named answer blank. And so you would copy essentially that line, this line, this much of this line, so that's about bare minimum. And and this record answer goes inside of your Sage cell, that function call. So that's it. So let's go ahead and look at it. So if you would like to get the macro, right now it's not anywhere but on my personal GitHub, not even committed to my own GitHub. So this is a link to it, and you're welcome to see the whole macro here if you care, and you've seen these things before. I will say this one piece is these are the things right now that are currently customizable in the Sage cell. There are others, and so I'm just trying to decide what's possible. Like, there is one for not even showing the box, right? And I was going to try to find that one and forgot to do it. And so, because there's some of these I'm not even using the box. So I want to hide the box, but obviously the default would be to show the box. But nonetheless, you can see things there. Oh, by the way, if you do nothing, just call the Sage cell. If you don't give me code, technically, then you're going to print 3. Okay, so I guess technically you don't need any parameters. But nonetheless, you probably will want to. And this is, by the way, where once this is on your server somewhere, then we can go ahead and just change this one, and it will rule them all.
You probably should use HTTPS there. At least
Well,
with your
on my
HTTPS.
server, right, but it doesn't work.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I took it away. So just to see, here's parts of it there, and this is a typical code, the segment, all pulled out. And so essentially, just to review, you can at the very top go through and define what your answers are going to be in the webwork problem. Then you have the Sage code up here at the top. That starts where your Sage code, that ends your Sage code. You need to record the answer to send things back out. The call to Sage, and the sending the answer back out. And the checking, of course, is the end. All right, so next. So this is a MathJax issue, so I'll refresh. There we go. And so this is a question that simply is asking for the definite integral from 0 to pi of sine of 3x. The sine of 3x is 0 to pi, all of our businesses in webwork. And we're going to pass that into Sage. Sage is going to do it. This is not the best way to do this because Jason's part then is going to find a better way that doesn't use the Sage cell. But this is just a quick example. So I can evaluate this thing all I want, and I can check answers, and I can submit answers, sorry. And it's correct. So the answer must have been 2/3.
Sage just did that problem for you though, right?
The Sage did it for me. Sage was, I mean, this is not the kind of question you ask people, but, yeah. And so just to see that it does work, you'll notice I have called Sage. I have, the answer is going to be what I said it was going to be a while ago. Here is in webwork where I print out a nice picture, and this text that goes above it if I want to. Here I'm calling Sage code, asking it to integrate and find the area. I pass the area back out. I say here, click to evaluate, reload. Instead I'm going to say, Jason is a goob.
That's true.
Did you
Press
Which one?
me.
clarify which Jason?
And that was the whole point. Press me. All right? And while I'm at it, I'm going to go to, and I can't do that right. And so I'll go to Aleph instead.
Which actually is insane.
Well, you know whatever.
Yep.
The point is. And then I'm going to put that there just so I can actually see the answer that Sage computes in the middle of Sage. And it's all customizable. That's where I get the answer back out of Sage. Here's where I check it. So, zoomed in very large. Jason is a goob, press me.
Looks like it's auto-evaluated.
Well,
Started working already.
Oh, I don't remember what it was. Of course, that's also a possible. You'll see
right,
it more later.
right,
Aleph is unhappy with me, and so I'll just do this for the fun of it. There it is. Fine. Okay, there it is. We did it. So the answer, you can see the input blank is now available. You can use it for debugging, I guess, as well.
Do the submit answers again.
No. I clicked on check and it says submit, so that was a mistake. So there you go. So that does work. There are, of course, other things you can do. Here's an indefinite integral. So there we were checking a number popping out. And so here, I compute this guy. And apparently you can also do the indefinite integral. That's in the indefinite integral back out. So it will check numbers. It will also check formulas. And there's nothing much to see inside of that one. Beach ball of death, because this next one
Whoa.
is, thank you Java. Java the hated. Okay. All right, so that's good. So let's try next again. I can't believe it came back nicely. That's good. Okay, this one is my first attempt to go through and just take something else random that I had not done. So what I did is I simply took the template that you see on the wiki, and I went to the Interact wiki page for Sage, and I grabbed the standard issue Taylor series thing that everybody gets to see. I also add this error plot out here just because I'm teaching. I like to use that. So I can reload the Maclaurin calculation instead of press me. And of course this all works. And this is actually one where I've asked up here, I haven't randomized anything, but I could have. And I've asked for the fifth order Maclaurin polynomial for whatever this happens to be, which again could be randomized. And that's the sixth order one, right? So we will submit answers. And that's the answer you get, but it's not correct because it of course isn't the right one. So we'll just show that it will check that one. And so, boom, and oh, hate myself sometimes. Join the crowd.
Oh.
All right, I forgot to.
And we're working on making that
Right.
save the state and reload the state, right?
Yes, that's the state thing is not done yet. But nonetheless, you can see it, just check it right, and that's good. I will show you that this also works.
Did you give John the formula that tells you what the state is, Jason?
No.
Yeah, I haven't committed the pull request. We were working through some issues with
Okay.
the pull request first.
Just little notes, you know this works. $F is the webwork variable that creates the function that we're using. Down here, printing it out and such. Right here, I'm taking $F and passing it in to the Sage code and calling it F and keep on going from that point on. So the function came in from, this case, from webwork. And then so Sage is using the webwork function just naturally. No special tricks needed. Just wanted you to see that much. And I'm sending out the standard thing from the Sage Interact. This is another one. Notice this one. It says click here, Buster, because I don't want to open up until you say click here. And so that also appears to be working. This is a problem I've had for a while where you're trying to show that the given vectors in the span of a couple others. And so just for the fun of it, I'll make it right easy touch stuff. Let's see here. I got to make the second one a little longer. Is that right? A little longer. Okay, this is probably a little longer for the first one as well.
That's pretty cool.
Boom, that's it. And so now I come back here. I have a 3D version of this too. It's a little harder to do. Just to be sure, we zoom in. I think I'm on the money. I don't know why it does it. Oh, that's not good. There we go. That makes me unhappy. This is where the persistence will be very helpful. Fortunately, we do know the answer now, right?
We believe you.
I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, that should be it. Oh, that's interesting. That's not me doing that.
All the lines.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it gave me several of the answers here. That was really strange.
Mark it up. Oh, yes. Every Sage talk should include one bug finding, one proof, and one.
I did not call this thing that many
That's
times.
interesting. Yeah, we'll send us the URL. We'll look at it. It should have been cleared.
1.15, 1.6. Let's remember that. Boom. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Just remember them all.
Yeah, it's doing it. Oh, we believe you. We'll look at it later. Yeah.
That's weird. All right, and so it does work. So this is a case where we're sending out multiple values in a list, and it does check them all properly. So if it does for 2, I'm presuming it will do for 50. So that's good. This is one that I grabbed from the wiki site. And I'm sorry. This is what you can get by clicking on this site and grabbing all of this. Here. I just take that and paste it. Then I get this problem. And I can check the answer, and if this answer is asking me for pi. And so if you want to get a basic one to start with, take this one, and then you can start filling in the blanks. It's set to go. Here's one a little more involved. Oh, it's going to be, this is bad because it's going to do that again. No, that's not so bad. So this is another one from the wiki site I'd done a long time ago for lateral surface area. And so you can see it. And it computes, if you see right here, an approximation at least to the lateral surface area coming on the side of this thing with arbitrary top, arbitrary bottom over an arbitrary curve. And that number right there is popping out of this creature. And apparently it's the correct answer. So that's nice. And Jason. So that's the first half of this, about the Sage cell embedded inside of webwork. Now, ready?
Yeah. Here's your computer.
Yes. Did you wash your hands?
I did. So one of the things we're aiming for is you should be able to write your interact and debug it in a Sage cell, and then plug it in with a couple of easy images at the top.
And a record answer at the bottom, and your
Record answer.
or if you want, yeah.
So something very simple.
Did I just accept something really bad there?
Yep.
Yay.
Mike's big certificate.
That's right. no idea what I have stored. Download machines.
Lies beneath.
Okay, so my approach to this integration with Sage was to write a new function that's available within the problem authoring environment that will help you to create mathematical objects using Sage that you can use in the problem or for answer checking. So people sometimes complain that problem authoring in WebWork is hard because it's a mishmash of LaTeX and Perl, and now we've made it easier by making it with this askadmin, or this askSage function, to be a mishmash of LaTeX, Perl, and Python.
And non-standard Python.
And non-standard Python at that.
Yes, pre-parsed Sage Python, right?
And Sage, right? Sage.
Yeah, and Sage.
So
You can't know too many languages.
You might as
Go is the next one,
you might as
right?
well speak them all at once.
JavaScript, that's right.
Parenthesis help.
Not good.
Scheme.
all right, so we're going to ask Sage with askSage. Right. So just to give you an idea of how these problems are set up, there's a similar kind of setup. This doesn't use any custom macros, so you would just load the standard PG standard and MathObjects macro files into a WebWork problem. And in this particular example illustrates something that's kind of hard to do in WebWorks. So let's say that you want to write a problem where you ask a student to row reduce a matrix. So in WebWork, you can create matrix objects and you can randomize the coefficients. But if I were to write a problem, and I have written problems where the question is I want students to find the reduced row echelon form of a matrix. And so how I would go about that is I would start with the reduced row echelon form, and then I would write a few matrices that do the elementary operations, multiply them together, and then present that to the student as the matrix to be reduced. Okay. So one difficulty with that is, well, first of all, that kind of fixes the size, so it would be hard to randomize that problem further. So you get a random matrix of random size that has a nice reduced row echelon form. You could do it, but it'd be sort of tricky programming. So this does this using creating a random matrix in Sage using the askSage function. So first I get a random number of rows and a random number of columns, and then I pick a random rank, all right, and then my Sage code is just to print a random matrix over the rationals with this many rows, this many columns, and Rob's echelonizable algorithm.
One of my students.
One of his students with a particular rank. Now, this dot rows is here because the random matrix, it needs to return something that WebWork will know how to turn into a math object, a matrix math object for answer checking. Now, you don't have to use WebWorks answer checking. You could write a Python function that you send the two matrices, and then it returns 1 if they're the same and 0 if they're not the same. But here I write the Sage code to produce the matrix, and then I have another Sage block to give me back the reduced row echelon form. And then I ask Sage to do those things with the askSage call. First I throw in the Sage code, and then there's an optional argument for problem seed, and there's also an optional argument for the URL if you want to change single cell servers. Okay. So that actually gets back a stringified version of the matrix, the Sage reply does. And then in this next row, I turn it into a matrix math object within WebWork. So we can take advantage of WebWork's capabilities with regards to displaying matrices, displaying appropriate size answer matrices for the student to input their answers, and feedback messages and things like that. So there are advantages to doing this that are kind of one of the strengths of WebWork built in. All right, and then the rest of it's just a regular WebWork problem. So within begin text, end text is what's presented to students. So row reduce M, okay, and it's in LaTeX math brackets. And then answer array takes the answer and takes the answer matrix and produces an answer array of the appropriate size for the student to input. It has the right number of rows and columns. Okay. So, and then answer compare just does the right thing and checking that those two things are the same. So to see how that looks, I'll skip over, it was actually problem 4 here. Okay, so here's the actual implementation of that. You can see it has many more columns, and if I were to randomize this, so I put in a different seed, then I'll get back a matrix of different size, right? And I'm guaranteed it'll have a nice reduced row echelon form. It'll be rank 3. So that would be a problem that would be pretty hard to write with just webwork as it is. Oh, it's not going. What's going on?
Oh, it's in another tab.
It may be coming up in another window.
It's in another window.
Which tab?
Take action in another window.
Oh, there. Okay, there we go.
So of course the student goes and puts this into Sage. And
Yeah, that's right.
Or Wolfman Alpha.
yeah.
So webwork right now, webwork does not have a computer algebra system built in behind the scenes for doing creating mathematical objects or doing answer checking, and this adds that capability. Some other interesting things. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to create accounts for like Jason and Rob, and ask you to break it and see what you can do. Like one interesting thing is creating an image, maybe an SVG image in Sage, and then saving that to a string in webwork, and then using that for display in a problem.
One advantage of using the math object checker in webwork is not so much that you can check the answer in Sage pretty easily, but David and Simone's put a lot of work into the kind of error analysis of student entry and so on in math objects. It wouldn't matter that much in this thing here, but on formulas and things like that, he's put a lot of effort into making the error useful for students.
So if I do check answers here, then you see in my reduced row echelon form. I didn't put anything in.
You can use it.
I thought you were asking for ranks between 2 and 3.
Yeah, I thought so too. Let's see.
Anyway, we could look at it.
Right.
One other thing that's nice about this is that
Oh, rank 1.
math objects in webwork has a derivative capability,
Right.
but does not have an integration capability.
Right.
So somebody could use this not really for the student display, but just so they could get the correct answer that they would need from the student to display.
So if you were to ask this question in webwork, integrate this, then you would compute the answer, in terms of variables, and then you would put that in the answer checkers. So, but with this, what I did is I just, in the ask Sage block, print integrate a times sine b times pi x with respect to x, ask Sage, and then I turned it, once I got the formula back from Sage, I turned it to a formula math object by using the compute method. So,
Jason, let me interrupt for a minute. The room next door is now empty, so if you have something valuable across the hall that you care about, you might want to go retrieve it.
all right. So I guess the next step is people just need to keep seeing what they can do and how it breaks and what cool things come out of it. Yeah.
Did you mention where you're getting the Sage, that you're using this?
So it is hitting the web service on the sagecell.sagemath.org, and then but there's a parameter that you can send if you have a different Sage shell server. You just need to hit the web service handler for that. And then,
Yeah, so the single cell server has a real low level API where you can just send a string basically and get back the output. So
yeah,
that's
and that's what it
nice.
does.
You don't have to maintain that Sage part.
Yeah.
Let Jason do it. Other Jason.
So what would happen if we released this on a class and there were a few hundred students hitting it?
That's why I'm
5 minutes
advertising
before
this
midnight.
API very widely.
Yeah, okay. Well, this only exists on one devel server with no
But they're not
students.
gonna be doing it exactly at the same time.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Well, provided you make
the
the due
point of
date
well-
5 a.m.
Yeah, you gotta make
If you make
it,
the due date noon, they might be doing it all at the same time. But if
you
make
will
the due date
crash
5
nearly any webwork server. I mean, we have a very huge webwork server at MU, and
Yeah.
it's got I think 4 cores, maybe 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's nice, and our college algebra coordinator had deadlines right at midnight, and it brought it to its knees because people, and they're submitting gateways, so they were doing they would submit something, and that would be like 10 problems evaluated all at once, and
So this is nice for you because a lot of the computation's offloaded, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But this is,
You got it.
this is something that you said you've got instructions, so we can set up a Sage Cell
Yep.
thing on a
Yep. It's easy for somebody to set a local
Yeah, you
stage
should-
number
local
up.
box and
Yep,
Yeah.
hit that instead.
yep, very easy.
You should package a Sage Cell thing with webwork.
Seychelles virtual machine.
Yes.
Or Sage could package webwork with,
We're the ones absorbing projects.
Well, I guess in the Sage Map Cloud.
So this is not quite available yet in the standard release of WebWork. It is, we did upload it already into the develop branch, right?
Yeah, it's in the develop branch.
Which is on GitHub, and I've got it running on this develop machine, which is kind of a spare machine I use for things like this, so if somebody wants a WebWork course, besides Jason and Rob, I'll be glad to create one for you.
Is that, any other questions for Jason?
Or John.
Or John?
Or Mike.
Or Mike? Okay. Can we-
Thanks.
I'm looking forward to this for years. So happy. Okay, so now we have Susan, Liz talking about surveys. Do you want to stop the video and restart it? Maybe you already did.
How do I plug this in?
Yeah.
Not a Mac.
Williams. I think so. Should we stop it? Restart it?